finished the lab. I don't know if you see it on my screen yet, but this is the race car after designing a highly available, resilient application. There was actually a physical race that happened, and Irio, thanks to his work in the lab, was able to do the race. I'm gonna scrub and see if I can get the. There it is. There's the start of the race. We had Claudia in the racetrack, and this is part of the escape room that you get to do. Look at that. This is like cutting edge. Look at this camera angles.
Hey Curtis, we see the architecture is complete one instead of the race.
Oh, let me go to that screen. Let me see if I have that window. But it was really awesome to see that in action. Let me see if I have that. Okay, I thought I was sharing the right screen. My bad on that one.
No, that's all good. Yeah, and I remember that Curtis is like Claudia fixed it. It's like, yeah, you get to jump in the race too. I was excited about that part. I wanted to see like the end all of it. Like, did Claudia win this thing?
Exactly.
Fun, yeah.
Let me share it now. Hold on a second. Here it is. Here is the race. I think I'm sharing it now. Yes?
Well, now you're just sharing us, I think.
Oh, yes. I'm sharing the race. There is the race.
There it is.
Yes. So this actually happens as you complete the lab in the resilient architecture. You get these really great scenes from the race. But now we're moving on to the next part, the final level in Escape Room. And I'm going to go to that screen. Am I sharing the correct screen now?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes. And we have reached the Enchanted Forest. And as you can see, if you ever watched the movie Lord of the Rings, there's some inspiration here, as we have these elf-like characters in the game world now, and we have to get the final parts to escape from this island. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through a lot of the cost optimized services and some scenarios that will help us get off this island. So,
oh yeah, speaking of hot dogs.
yes, it's not a sun dog. It is a purple hot dog. Maybe this hot dog's been in the sun too long and it turned purple. But this is where we are now. The Enchanted Forest is really a different place, different from any of the other escape room biomes that we have. I'm going to skip past this. I don't want to ruin any of the surprises. We're going to go talk to Oren, and he's going to give us some direction on what we need to do. As you can see, the Enchanted Forest is pretty nice, right? It's pretty good looking.
Yeah.
Very colorful, very stylish. You know, the cottages. And of course, there's someone named Oren. Every fantasy movie has someone named Oren in the characters. So let's see if we can solve the problem for Oren. They need someone to help optimize some architectures with the right costs. Let's see. Let's go into here, and we're going to start with what is Cost Explorer. All right. So the chat, you're going to help us out like you do every week. The chat has been on fire. Like we've never been able to stump the chat for more than a couple of minutes. So what is Cost Explorer? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4 a service that governs AWS costs by creating budgets? I think Ariel, you talked about that just a while ago. A service that provides recommendations to help optimize costs. A tool to use to visualize, understand, and manage costs, or a service that helps plan service usage, service costs, and Amazon EC2 instances reservations while providing recommendations. So I always get these two confused. I always get Cost Explorer, budgets, and the other one confused. So I always miss this one for some reason. So I need your help on this one. So which is it going to be? Is it number 1, govern costs by creating budgets, recommendations, providing recommendations? What are we getting in the chat? Or is it to visualize and understand and manage costs? Which one makes the most sense?
Well, let's give people some time.
Yes.
By eliminating one.
So let me see. I don't know. Do you think it has to do with budgets? I'm going to ask Irio. Is it about creating budgets with Cost Explorer?
I'm gonna say no.
No, not budgets.
Not budgets. Nope. I can use another service for that. For sure.
Okay. So let's eliminate budget. So let's go out of the last three. What is the chat saying? Is any answers in the chat so far?
I
We
see
have
three.
one that says 3.
Number 3.
Yep.
A service that helps plan service usage, service costs, and Amazon EC2 instance reservations. How do we feel about that one?
Well, now we have 2 more people that says 3.
Oh, I think I read number 4, actually. Number 3 is a tool to visualize. Okay, so that's the right one that I was supposed to read. Sorry about that. And provide detailed analytics. Okay, so we have 2 for number 3. I think that sounds pretty good. I'm gonna go with number 3.
Let's
Since
do
we
it.
got a couple of answers. So let's see. The answer is correct. It is number 3.
Amazing.
Yes. Now, why wasn't it budgets? Let's see here. So we have it takes you to the documentation, of course, that explains what budgets are for. This is one of the things about Escape Room. It always gives you links out and kind of forces you to read the documentation and get the insight that you need. So it's always good to understand why you got stuff wrong. I always read the wrong answers as well when I'm preparing for an exam. So that's important.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's continue. Okay, we got something going. All right. So we got to open the next chest. I love opening chests. That reminds me of playing Legend of Zelda. You just open chests and you get the diamond and you celebrate. You throw your hands up in the air. Anyway,
I love
which
that.
AWS service provides customizable cost and usage thresholds with automated notifications when spending targets are forecasted to exceed defined limits? Okay. So this is what I see. These 3 would always confuse me: the cost and usage report, the budgets, and now we know what Cost Explorer is, so we can eliminate that one. And I don't think it's CloudWatch. So we're down to these 2 basically. So what are we getting in the chat? Is it budgets or is it cost and usage report?
We've got 2 people that says budgets.
Budgets, okay. 2 people that say budgets. Anybody for cost and usage? Because that sounds like it could be right.
Someone says number 2.
Cost Explorer?
I think so.
I guess when we go this way, there's no
Yeah,
numbers.
budget.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, budgets number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll go and left.
Now, how
to
do
right.
you count? Is it left to right to left,
Yeah, I know.
left down?
So
right
we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll say this is number 2. So I'll pick number 2. I think I saw a couple of answers for number 2. Awesome. So let's see. It is budgets. It is budgets. Now, why was it not cost and usage? It's a comprehensive set of cost and usage data available you can use to publish your billing reports to your S3 bucket 3 times a day. Okay, it's really about reporting, where budget is about the thresholds, setting those thresholds, right? So I think that's the important distinction there.
Someone in the chat says, so Adamantium Chess says that's an artifact, not a notification. That's a really good way of thinking about it.
Awesome.
Yes.
I love it.
Excellent.
Yes. All right, let's continue. So we got that one taken care of. Now we've got some kind of joystick. I don't know why there's a joystick for this grab something in an enchanted forest, but anyway, let's take a look at this matching style. So this is looking for the most cost-effective compute option for each use case. Okay, so we're focusing on compute. Now we've got Fargate, Lambda, on-demand, savings plans, and spot instances. Okay, so these are the choices for each one. So let's take a look at these use cases. So they want to run, this company wants to run various workloads with steady usage, and they want to commit to a consistent amount of compute usage. This company wants to run a batch processing, and they can be interrupted and resumed without affecting final results. So when I hear the word interrupted, I always think, I'm gonna answer this one. I think when you see the word interrupted, I always think if it can be interrupted, it's spot instances, right? So we'll give that one. Now for the third one, an e-commerce company needs to generate product thumbnails, and each processing task that takes less than a minute with unpredictable
Mhm.
upload patterns. So
What
which
options do we
one
have?
would we choose? We know it's not spot. So which one would be
Adamantium
unpredictable?
says lambda for that one.
Lambda for this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's try lambda for this one. All right, so this one is microservice-based application needs to run continuously with varying load patterns. They want to use containers but need to focus on application code instead. So which
Ooh.
one is this one?
Mm.
They want to use containers, which is the key word.
Looks like adamantium chess.
Yes.
Same
It says
Fargate.
Fargate.
Fargate?
And
Fargate.
Anne Louise Co. also says Fargate.
Fargate. Okay.
We have some
Good.
experts.
Yes. So then let's go to the next one. A company needs to run development and test environments during business hours and does not want a long-term commitment. So
Not a
We've already-
long-term commitment.
not a long-term commitment.
Test
So we know
environments.
test environments. We know it's not Lambda and Fargate.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's not Spot. So we've got between EC2 on demand or EC2 savings plans.
Oh, we've got 3 people that say on demand.
On
We have
demand.
Nazi, Anne Louise Co, Jib Jab. They're all saying
Nice.
on demand.
On
Nice.
demand.
Nice.
So that only leaves savings plan for the top.
Does it make sense though? If we read it, does it make sense?
Let me see. If I think so. They don't want a long-term commitment. They want development and test. Yeah,
All right. So
I think so.
let's think about it. All right. So let me read the top one. Let me read the
Top one. Yeah, let's read the top
it.
one.
So a company runs compute workloads across EC2, Fargate, and Lambda with steady usage patterns.
Steady usage. Yes.
They want to commit to a consistent amount of usage.
Yep. So in that case, they want it over a long term. So I think with savings plans, you probably get a discount, right?
I love it. This is a
Yeah.
good group.
So let's answer this one,
Let's see.
and it is 100%
Wow.
correct on the first try. How am I not surprised? Good job, everyone. Good job.
Great
Anne
job.
Louise Co says savings plans equals long-term commitment.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to go forward in time again. You guys remember that from Wayne's World? I hope you do. Maybe
I
you don't. Everybody do this at home. No, actually, don't do that. So we are advanced a little bit. So there's a tiger here for some reason in the fantasy enchanted land. So we've talked to the tiger. It's not Tony the tiger. It's just a regular tiger. And we have to put together this architecture, and we have to do it in a cost-effective way. So let's do that together.
Look
Okay.
who just stopped in.
Who is it?
This is Isa. She's gonna
Oh,
cuddle me for the rest of the episode.
she saw a tiger and she's like, "That's my cousin."
Yes.
I say your cousin is an escape room. What happened to you? What happened to your career? We got to talk. We got to talk later. Anyway,
Gonna talk.
so we have to drag and drop the components into the secure VPN to connect to an on-premise infrastructure with multiple cloud resources. Each component will be used one time or not at all. So we have all these components on the left here. We've got a site-to-site VPN. We've got a router. We've got a VPC. We've got NAT gateway, Internet Transit Gateway. So what are we dropping into the on-prem to connect to the on-prem from our cloud infrastructure to connect to our on-prem here? So what do we need to drop first? in these slots. We've got a VPC slot, we've got a gateway, and a gateway. So it's giving you some hints, and another gateway here in the middle. So I'm going to assume the VPC slot.
Are gonna go in the VPC slot.
I'm going to go in the VPC.
Sometimes
Right?
it's just that obvious. Yeah.
It's just that obvious.
Yep.
Right? So let me do that. Let's do the VPC slots. Okay, so we drop it in there. Now, here, what type of gateway do we need to go out to connect to this on-prem? Do we need a transit gateway? Do we need a NAT gateway? Do we need an internet gateway? What are we using here? Do we need a customer
got, Chad?
router? What do you got, chat? What are we putting in this slot here? What type of gateway? Maybe you can start in the connection between the two entities. How do we connect? What's the best way to connect between the cloud and on-prem? What would we put here in this yellow? Any guesses? Do we use this Route 53 or do we use a site-to-site VPN?
We have one person
Nice.
saying that.
Okay, in the yellow slot or in this slot?
Ooh.
All right. So we had a session on NAT gateways with the VPC.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, we did.
We talked about NAT gateways allowing for us to send out some information into the internet, but never allow the internet to request any information to us. And I don't necessarily think we're doing that with this one.
I don't think so either. I don't think so. We probably won't use this one. So
Someone
let's
says transit gateway.
transit gateway. Okay.
That's
So
what we should
dro-
do.
so we should drop a transit gateway here.
Maybe. We've got 3 people saying transit gateway.
Transit gateway. Okay, and this
I love
slot.
it.
All right. So what
love
about this slot? What connects the cloud to the on-prem? Should we use the internet gateway, or should we use Route 53, or should we use site-to-site VPN?
Ooh.
Folks, y'all, I don't know. Y'all still thinking about it? Still thinking
Yeah,
about it? Let's
I don't
what
see
you
it.
got.
I'm
All right.
talking about this slot here, this yellow slot that connects the two entities.
Yeah. All right, folks. So
Any answers?
Any answers?
Let's see.
Ooh, somebody's there.
Somebody says, oh no, we already did the internet gateway for that one. Let's see. What should we
Adamantium. Let's see what Adamantium got to say.
Okay, he's been on point. What did he say?
Site to VPN is
He's
what
saying site-to-site VPN. Okay, instead of Route 53. All right, let's drop it in there. Site-to-site VPN. All right, and finally, we need the final component here for the on-prem. So, Irio, what do we need here for on-prem? What needs to happen to finalize this connection?
So I remember working on a network and I had to connect 2 separate networks that were not at the same location. And you're going to need a router. You need to program that router. Now, well, you got to do that programming in a virtual way so you can create a document that you can send to a networking person so they can program something on campus. When I look at all these options, looks like a Route 53, it looks like another transit gateway, it looks like a NAT gateway. Those are all services with AWS through your VPC. So you need something that is going to match what the customer has.
Like
that's
a
a really
customer
good
router.
Yeah, like a customer router for sure.
Wait, we have something else down here. We have a direct connect.
All right.
Where did that come from?
Who's saying? What are they saying? Are they saying direct connect? Anyone say direct connect?
I don't see it in the chat. And when I think about direct connect, I like that Adamantium, I think I'm saying his name correctly, chose site-to-site versus direct connect because we can do something a little bit faster and cheaper when we go for the site-to-site VPN. Right?
I see. Okay. So anyone agree with you? Chad, do you agree with Irio, our expert on using the customer router based on his experience? Or is Irio totally wrong here?
I think it would be the first time that Ario would be wrong.
It would be the first time.
We do have someone that says customer router with VPN, but then we also have somebody else that says parrot voice, direct connect.
Aha. There we go. We have some controversy. Okay, let's go with Irio and the chat together since they are joining forces. Customer router
All right.
at the site. Okay, so let's validate and see. It is complete.
Woo! Nice work, folks.
Yes. Irio is never wrong. Just don't tell his wife that.
Just not on camera. It's not, yeah, my wife.
All right. Well, that's it. Tome is happy. Isa is happy at home because her cousin, the tiger, is really happy for the help. And thank you all in the chat for your system. I'm going to turn it over to Irio so he can get into some lab components. And we're going to have a little happy dance. And this is the Enchanted Forest for Escape Room.
Nice. Let's do it, folks. Let's jump into it.
Awesome.
So, what you get into once you end this thing, once you end all the questionnaires and it's time for you to run into your last lab, you're going to focus your time on S3, right? And when you get into S3, or you get into this lab, it is something that you're doing that Claudia, right, is responsible for. So, just to kind of map it out for you before the screen goes up, Claudia has an opportunity to have a task list run through S3. And these are tasks that Claudia needs to get involved with. But you know what? That task list might not be utilized all the time, right? Maybe Claudia needs it right now, but after a year's time, you know what? Claudia might not just need it all the time, so we can spend a little bit less money. So when you start to deal with S3, the simple storage service, you got an opportunity to use these different tiers, right? And if you are out there helping out with the screen, go ahead and throw up that practice lab screen right there, and we'll jump right into it. But here it is, the Escape Room Solutions Architect Enchanted Forest. We get an opportunity to look at S3 a little bit, right? So I want to focus your attention on the task list before we jump in there, because this is the document that we're sending into S3, right? Does it matter much what Claudia is doing? Not so much. But what matters is this is a file that Claudia can access whenever Claudia wants to do it, as long as it's within the year, 365 days. Now we have to create that, right, within our account. Now, after 365 days, it's going to be stored in another tier. We call that like Glacier, right? It's going to be Glacier Deep Archive, and it's a cold storage tier, similar to the conversation I was having with you about HDD drives, hard disk drives, right? So after that 365 day period, Claudia can access this document again, but it'll take some time before Claudia can get that document back to actually review it, right? With S3 Standard, right away. With Glacier Archive, 12 to 48 hours before Claudia can even grab that, right? And this is a fun way to consider this scenario. But if this was a real scenario, maybe an auditor is coming and you don't need these files all the time. But when the auditor arrives, you need it to pop back up. So the auditor tells you, hey, we'll be there next week, store it in Glacier. And then you got 12 to 48 hours to retrieve that document. By the time the auditor comes, if you do it in good timing, you can show that that document to that auditor, and now you know what, you kind of save yourself a little bit of money. So what we're going to do is, I've already walked through this thing. We're just going to take an opportunity to kind of look at the architecture. The architecture is here. It allows you to kind of learn what's happening with this document. Again, that first step is creating the S3 bucket where we can send this task list from Claudia. The next thing on this list is saying that, hey, there is a storage class that Claudia's task list is going to be involved in, right? And so that's going to be S3 Standard. We can just store objects within S3. So any type of file, really, you have an opportunity to store in S3. Now, we'll make sure that this document that Claudia has is readable after you download it. But if you try to interact with it in any other way, if you are some security risk, we don't want you to have that. So we will encrypt it. By the way, S3 has default encryption. There's options that you can choose with S3 to use some KMS key. You don't need to, though, right? Because S3 is already encrypted. But if you want to control those keys, then by all means do it. It might be a part of your compliance, right? The next thing that's present on this particular screen says, hey, we want to make sure those who are accessing this encrypted file are the ones who should be accessing. So we always want to keep watch on that. So if you access the file, we're going to log that somewhere. S3 has S3 server access logs, right? So that's going to be super nice. And then finally, we want to back this data up. Anytime that Claudia's list goes into this S3 bucket, there must be another bucket where we can send this information into to always have a backup. So that is super nice. So we'll version this thing. We'll say, hey, you can send this task list into the S3 bucket as many times as you want. And every time you do, we'll keep the previous version. And the latest one that you uploaded will be the one that you will review. So we'll make a change to this document. And by the way, that change is going to change this last little portion here under goals. It says something. Don't get too caught up on that. We'll just add some different text here so that we can see different versions, okay? All right, with that being said, we'll go ahead and walk through the steps, and then we'll do the DIY together. And then that way we can kind of see everybody get so excited that we got it done, right? So with the practice section here, you'll have an opportunity to download files. These files are going to be utilized as you interact with that bucket that we were talking about. You go out to S3, you create the bucket. Now, you're going to create bucket here in S3, and you're going to create a name for this bucket. It needs to be unique. That's one of the things about S3. You got to choose a location in the global infrastructure. Maybe it's US East 1 in North Virginia, and then you need to give it a unique name. I mean, you know what? You just don't call it anything. And if you share that name with anybody else, that's a no-go. It's going to tell you you can't create the bucket. So it has to be unique globally. You got to block all public access. Is going to be one of those ways in which we can block anybody from accessing the objects there. But we are going to turn versioning on. So if you can look down and see number 2, and that's what that is about, right? Now, S3, like I told you about, when you get into creating this bucket, you have options about encryption. If you have your own keys that you want to manage, by all means, do that. But it's already going to have some default encryption as soon as you store that data or that object right there in the bucket. So all we're doing right here in the lab is just viewing the details of the bucket that you created. And then we go into a tab in S3 called management. Now, with this management portion, we can say, all right, we have an opportunity to upload an object, but eventually we can set up some lifecycle rule so that that object eventually falls into another tier. Because as soon as we upload those tasks from Claudia into S3, then that's S3 standard. You're going to pay a standard price for that. But like we said, after about 365 days, like you see here on the screen, this object is going to transition into another class. Right? It's not another bucket, same bucket, just another price point that you pay and another way that you can access that bucket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is just the details here. After 35 or 365 days, not 35, we get to create that bucket. We create that bucket, we can view that bucket, and then we can start uploading files within that bucket. The next section in the lab here that you see that I'm kind of zooming by just kind of looks at the properties just to make sure that you have security airtight. And you're making sure that you have those server access logs on, right? So we go and we enable that in that next step. We also have to provide a bucket where these logs will go to. So a separate bucket dedicated just for the logs. So we'll set that. We'll make sure we have good security around getting access to that bucket. We go into permissions to just review that, you know what, we can go ahead and turn the access control list on. The access control list talks about if you can read or write to the bucket. And since we set up some log bucket, we want to make sure that we can write from this bucket to that bucket, right? So we go into our access control list, and then we check on this write permission set for the objects that's within the bucket. We save those changes. Now it's our turn to upload that task list. We upload the task list. We go ahead and download it. You already downloaded from the Escape environment. Now you add those files to the bucket. When you add that file to the bucket, it'll give you a nice success message. Now, what you need to do in this next portion is to go in and edit the file, right? And so it shows you that there are goals right there, right? I showed you that same one, but then there's other files, right? This same file that we can edit. And if we make any changes to the file, which I've already done, you can upload that again. And guess what? It'll just be another version of the file. Now, in this section of the lab, after you upload it twice, because that's just what happened, we uploaded that file twice here, we just review what's happening, right? You go through the configuration of the object. You say versioning is cut on. So obviously, if I go and I check out the properties and I know that versioning is cut on, I know that encryption is cut on, I can go out to the object itself. So I went out to the S3 bucket. I chose the name of the file, which is Claudia's task list. And now I can see multiple versions of that file. There's one at the bottom that happened at another timestamp. You see that timestamp here. And then another upload happened shortly after. The current version is the one that you will pull if you go and try to get an object from this bucket or get this specific object from this bucket. Now that is the end of that portion, but let's see if we can do the DIY section really, really quickly, right? The DIY section is super, super easy. All we got to do is we got to set up a replication rule. Now we've already sent that information into another tier after 365 days, but what about the backup? So we did have files, right? We have this DIY progress tracker.txt file, and you would just download that. And then the next step that you would take, you would make sure that you go back to the bucket that I've called Ariel Loves Claudia, right? I would go into the management tab here. And now instead of setting up a lifecycle rule like we just saw through that practice session, we need to now set up a replication rule. So we will create the replication rule. All right, we need to give this replication rule a name. So I'm gonna go back to the steps just to make sure I don't have a specific name that I need to use. I don't. I'm just gonna call this backup. Backup C for Claudia, let's say, right? All right, so I got the source bucket, that's Ariel Loves Claudia, the bucket that we've been working on sending that task list into. And I want to apply this to all buckets all objects within the bucket, but now I need to give a destination. A part of this lab, you already have the destination that you need to point this to. I'm going to go for a specific bucket, a bucket in this account, excuse me. And I'm going to browse S3 real quick, and I'm going to choose this backup bucket. Now, after I have this backup bucket selected, now I can just tell this account, you know what? Create a new role for me, right? Give me the permissions that I need to send the information from my Ariel Loves Claudia bucket into the backup bucket, right? And so that's all I need, folks. I'll just go ahead and hit save. All right.
Somebody asked, do we need to make a new bucket to replicate to?
Yeah, you would need to make a new bucket. It's just this account already has that bucket laid out for you. And so if I go out to that area, well, I can just do it here. So the bucket name here says browse S3 for buckets that you already have. So that's fine. And Danny, you can choose that as a path as your bucket. So by all means, this account already has them, but you will need to create them. It won't already be created for you just for going into the replication section here, right? So create a new role. Now it's giving me a little bit of an issue here.
You might need to
choose this. Maybe the lab, some of these labs are locked down with different permissions. You may have to choose an existing role for that one.
Let's see here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Thanks so much. Yes, that's exactly what's happening, right? Somebody with a little bit of experience, right? All right, so let's choose that role. Let's get the name of that role. It's asking us to use the S3 replication role. And so we'll find that S3 replication role here. Just type it, S3 replication. Yes. Boom, there it is. We'll hit save now. Now we got permissions. Right?
There we go.
All right. So we can choose to, send those existing objects if you'd like to. That's all good. So now that we have that saved, oh, you know what? I actually don't want to do that. Right? So let's take a step back real quick. We got a replication role. Don't worry about that other replication thing there. Yep. So there it is. All we got to do now is upload that object to the bucket. And so I'm just going to go here to upload, and I'm going to choose a file. All right. And so the name of that file, let me grab that just to be sure of it. DIY Progress Tracker is the name of that file, right? So I'll just type it here. There it is. Open that up. All right, good deal. Let's choose upload here. It's going to upload it into this Ariel Loves Claudia bucket. And then eventually we should see that trickle into the backup logs bucket, right? So most times we need to give it a little bit of time there. And so I'm just going to go into this backup bucket right here. No objects just yet. But after we give it a little bit of time, we should see that replication into this bucket that we did select. It won't be instantaneous, but it will come in good timing here. And the way that
really quickly, really quickly, how does this help with cost savings? We've only got a few minutes left. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit.
All right, so this helps with cost saving because we actually had an opportunity to store this object into another tier when it's not usable anymore. And that was the biggest takeaway around this lab around cost saving. Yeah, S3 Standard gives you that standard price, but when you look at something like S3 Glacier, it is very, very cheap. All we're saying with S3 Glacier is that don't access it a whole lot, right? And if you don't need that access, then you will just pay a cheaper price point. And then this replication portion talks about you being able to just back up that data. You will pay more money by having 2 objects in your account now, but we can do the same thing with this backup bucket. We can say, all right, we're not going to use it for after some time, so let's store this in a cheaper access tier.
Yes.
So this is kind of like a real version of, saving 7 years of taxes, of personal taxes, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh
in the
my
first
gosh.
year,
Don't
sorry,
talk about taxes right now. I just paid some.
when you do your
Please.
taxes, you want to save them in a very easy way for you to access them. So you're going to want to use something that's easily accessible, instantaneous. So your regular S3. And then, of course, once you're done with that, once you're done after taxes, you're going to want to have that life cycle. So it removes it from your very first tier, but you want to save them. You want to replicate them into a bucket that, into that filing cabinet in the back of your room that you don't access, just in case somebody asks you, hey, did you file them properly? Then you're like, well, hold on, let me go check. And then you go into your Glacier, which will take you some time to, you got to find the keys or find the combo or find the right files, whatever it is. But that's kind of like how people should think about using S3 to save some costs.
Yep.
Yep.
Ariel loves Claudia. Let me spell that correctly, first of all.
Yes. He just gave
All
me some flashbacks to taxes, but that's okay. I get the.
And look, I got a 1 here in my bucket, in my bucket name, so it's tripping out on me. So let me do one thing real quick, folks. Let me rename this file and upload it. I think
Awesome.
time is getting near here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that was brilliant. I think the life cycle tiers is what ultimately saves you the extra cost for storing objects. That's one thing you have to be mindful of. There's so many instances where people don't realize that accessing through S3 frequently can increase your bill, your AWS bill at the end of the month. You have to be very cognizant about how you store objects. It's not just a free for all.
Yeah, Robert Tables actually says something to consider is lots of small files being transitioned between storage classes can end up expensive out of the blue. So yes, so transferring from bucket to bucket again and again and again, that's where it can get pretty expensive. But if you put it into a bucket where it's infrequent access or where it's Glacier, so it's like really deep down, which will take you a little bit. If you are looking at accessing a file more than once a year, don't do Glacier. Maybe infrequent access would be better. So it's really about knowing the use cases and how often you are going to be accessing those files.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And we did it. Look at that. He's got it set. Awesome. Okay. Ariel, I'm going to ask you not to share this.
Oh,
because these are spoilers. These are spoilers.
Spoilers. Okay. All right. But it got done. That's
yes, we
part,
did.
Right?
Awesome. All
Amazing.
right. Well, that's the end of the season. Oh my God, we're done.
It's the end of the series. Boo. Yeah, so I have a little bit of house cleaning to do. Housekeeping I did at the beginning of the series. House cleaning is what we're going to be doing now. So I'll just go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully, maybe, am I sharing the right one? I have no idea, probably not. This one. So over the last 5 weeks, we went through all of these 5 episodes where we covered high-performing architectures, network and data solutions, secure architectures, resilient architectures, and now cost-optimized architectures. And if you're looking for more series, more training that is for free, on demand, go ahead and go to your Amazon training page where you're going to find all free and expert-led training live streamed over on LinkedIn and Twitch. Go ahead and give us a follow on either platform so you can get notification when all of those come out. And of course, go ahead and access the on Skill Builder. We have the training for this particular certification within the 4-step plan. Not only are you going to find the exam guide, but you're also going to find everything that we talked about this entire series, which is all of the domains, and of course, the escape room. And before I go, I think